Here's to the finest crew in Starfleet.
When it comes to my crew, you won't get any argument from me.
This is a parody. Paramount owns the song.
Welcome to The Greatest Generation. It's a Star Trek podcast by a couple of guys who are just a little bit embarrassed about having a Star Trek podcast. I'm Ben Harrison.
I'm Adam Pranica.
Adam, we just recorded something for Greatest Trek. It's an interview with Will Wheaton. Still kind of searing from the embarrassment of admitting my childhood embarrassment
Yeah.
to that guy.
Do you feel like it closed the loop for you?
I mean, I think that this show closed the loop more than anything, you know? Like, there was something very cathartic about wearing that on my sleeve. Like, I think that we talked about that on, like, episode 5 of this show or something like that.
Yeah, it goes way back.
Yeah, early Greatest Gen lore. One thing I meant to say was we should send him a Wes Hot American Summer t-shirt. But I don't even know, is that even available anymore?
Yeah, we got to do that. We got to figure that out.
Yeah.
We'll send him a t-shirt.
Yeah, we got to send him a t-shirt.
All guests of The Greatest Generation or Greatest Trek receive a shirt of our choosing.
Yeah, you know what recognizable people don't get enough of is free t-shirts.
I thought he heard that story with a lot of grace, you know, for a guy who has had, at times, you know, not always a great relationship with the roles that he's played.
Yeah.
Or the impressions of him shared directly to him oftentimes. Like, to hear a story like that from someone like you and to, like, take it as the lowercase e embarrassing story that it is. Like,
Sure.
I think shows what I hope to be, like, the sort of growth where you arrive at a place where a thing can't hurt you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think that his life story is kind of a lot about that. So, yeah, fun little interview. I hope everyone that listens to this show goes and listens to that show.
Yeah, if you're not listening to Greatest Trek, the hit new Star Trek podcast made by me and Ben, I don't know what else you're listening to.
Where the fuck you at?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's the only show that covers new Star Trek in the hard-hitting dick and fart joke way that we do it. And also, a show like today's, a kind of infamous episode of Star Trek Enterprise. I didn't know until I read a little bit about it.
Oh, interesting.
How it hit.
Yeah.
But let's see how it hits you, Ben, and I guess me also, as we recap Star Trek Enterprise Season 2, Episode 22, Cogenitor.
Is the genitor like genital? Is that what was coming from the name of the cogenitor in there?
Let's see. What mean cogenitor? Cogenitors are needed to complete reproduction.
Yeah.
They do not genetically contribute to offspring, but supply an enzyme required for fertilization. Oh, this is pointing at the episode. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Everything I'm finding is having to do with this episode. It doesn't seem like it's a real word in its own right, as some folks would describe it.
Yeah. Directed by LeVar Burton, this one.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Written by Brandon Braga and Rick Berman.
What?
Also a lot of fun.
Hold on. The room is spinning. I gotta sit down. So we learned that a star is going to go supernova soon, in 1 to 200 years. And that is why the entrepreneur has come here to see that star. What a sight to behold. Nobody aboard this ship will live to enjoy the actual supernova moment, except for maybe T'Pol.
Do you think T'Pol's ability to age well past all of these fucking people that she's surrounded by informs how she carries herself around them? Wouldn't it inform you if you knew, like, it was certain you were going to live another 100 years?
From today.
And not only that, sadly, Ben, no one else is going to live as long as you that you know right now. Like,
Right.
that's just part of the deal.
In fact, most of the people I know are going to die in the next couple of years.
Wouldn't that change the way you felt about almost everything in your life?
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, we read about her in the show Bible. Like, there's stuff in the Bible about her maybe being like one of the like founding Vulcans, which I think they kind of did away with, right? Like, she's not the person that like joined Spock's Katra back with his Genesis birdie.
Yeah, right.
But the implication that she like has like a tremendously long history, like much longer than I think Spock is supposed to have had, right?
Yeah.
Because Spock was living hard, you know? He was kind of like, you know, pretty adventurous with the ladies, did a lot of drinking, did a lot of smoking, you know? Like, you can age yourself out a little quicker as a Vulcan if you live the way Spock did.
Yeah, but Spock had city miles for a Vulcan. That's for sure.
Spock had been rode hard and put away wet.
But that's the thing about a Spock. You don't want to keep Spock under a tarp in a barn. You want to enjoy Spock.
I know. It like, don't let some fucking creep on the internet have to like do a social media video about detailing you after you didn't enjoy your Spock.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is Spock had closer, more personable relationships with all of the people in his life, I think.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because he was always saying stuff about, I am and always will be your friend, whatnot.
Yeah. Always and always will be just a different unit of time to a Vulcan, for sure. Reed has picked up another ship on sensors in this cloud around the hypergiant.
Yeah.
And it is way closer to the core than Enterprise could even hope to get.
They talk about what their minimum safe distance is. Is it the minimum or the maximum? Minimum safe distance?
I think that's the one. That's the one you're looking for.
And this one is way, way closer. We actually get to take a look at this thing. It's a Phillips Head class starship. And they get on the radio and they are happy to talk to Captain Archer, generous with the scanning tech. Like, oh, yeah, we can help you guys scan the shit out of this star so that you can do the kind of science that we do.
What do you make of how bracing the difference is between this culture we're just now meeting and how Enterprise would treat anyone else out in space? Like, the idea that the crew of the Enterprise should withhold tech from other cultures for fear of maybe spoiling it isn't like something that's been enshrined in their whole deal.
Right.
But it's definitely...
It's an instinct that they have, for sure.
And instinctually, this other species is like, no, like, have it. Have all of it. You need it. You're explorers. You're just like us.
We love meeting new people. We'll be over in an hour.
And not only that, it's like one of those bad civilization game trades where you're like, I trade Fox for 500 gold. And that's what dinner on Enterprise represents, Fox.
Right.
And all this tech represents gold, and I guess that's a pretty good deal for both sides.
Like, I can't believe this schmuck traded horses with me for that pittance. Now I've got a cavalry.
Yeah.
You fool.
So after the theme, we're right into Archer's dining room with Captain Drennick, and you can see that it's an Andres Katsoulis style alien here, and he's eating with 2 arms.
He's having a lot of fun. You know, he's pretty happy with himself. He's a little braggy about the star exploring that they're capable of.
Your technology will evolve. What's important is that you're explorers.
But generous, like, hey, like, you know, our strip is way better than yours. You should come on a stratopod ride with me. It's great. We can get really close to that star.
Imagine accepting an invitation like this blind, the way Archer does. I think it tells you a lot about me, where I would be like, sure, let's see the ship first.
Yeah.
But he is just down, and I think part of why Archer is so enthusiastic about like accepting these gifts and being so down to ride into the craft or whatever is this character that Andres Katsoulis plays is like, I'm not suspicious of him at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a magic to this performance that's just like, oh yeah, like this is Tomalak somewhere in there. It's Tomalak. And yet like definitely not.
Yeah.
Like definitely has all the gears.
He's like avuncular and charming
Yeah.
in the way that Tomalak is like cagey and icy.
Tomalak was not generous in either tech or spirit the way this guy is.
Oh. We cut down to the mess hall where the regulars are eating. Trip is popping some cherries with some new aliens.
A human tradition?
Exactly.
One of them is the WEPS officer from the Vissian ship. So Reed is very excited to get to know her.
We gotta have Weps. She's the key.
And he's just come from talking to their chief engineer and his wife. And Trip just runs off to go meet them because he's very curious about the engine room situation over on that ship.
Wouldn't you though? You're chatting with two comely ladies over ice cream sundaes. You're teaching them maybe to tie the knot and the stem. And Reed rolls up like ready to just rocket piss in your good time. I would bail out of that hang too.
I don't really know this guy.
Yeah, I know he's on the ship. Reed, is it? Huh. All right, I'm going to go fuck off and do something else because this is as good as it's going to get over here at this table.
He also meets the titular character of the episode, the cogenitor of this couple, because it's the engineer, his wife, and their cogenitor.
Yeah.
And it's a little awk because, Trip addresses himself to the cogenitor. The cogenitor does not address themselves back.
No.
And it seems weird to the couple that he would even do that.
It has no name. It's our cogenitor.
Yeah, it is weird. This whole moment is just awkward. It doesn't feel good, and I think it's especially important that it's Trip that is made to feel awkward because of all the characters that we've come to know on the crew, he's the most ensign hospitality-ish of the crew. Like he's
personable.
He's open in a way that you want to make as your first impression with an alien species, I think.
I mean, he's down to have an alien species make a first impression on him.
Yeah.
Get knocked up and shit,
You're never gonna let that go, are you?
So in Six Bay, Trip asks Dr. Phlox, what mean cogenitor?
And Phlox explains the birds and the bees and the bats to him. I was just thinking that it should be a third flying thing that starts with B.
It's such a weird energy that Trip brings to a medical situation because he's like, could you explain third concept to me? And like almost from the moment Dr. Phlox begins to explain it, Trip is like, say less.
I have pictures.
I think I'll pass.
And Phlox is like, I sense your discomfort, but maybe you should keep an open mind about this. After all, we are very, very far away from home and we're liable to meet folks that are very different from us.
Like, are you really that disgusted by the idea that she provides an enzyme, Trip?
I didn't get disgust from his feelings about this. Like,
no, I was actually doing just like a joke.
Oh. Hey, Ben? Say less.
All right, you take it from here. Trip, if you didn't want to know, why are you in there? Yeah, he's like curious, but very perplexed by every new bit of information that is given him about this.
I love how Dr. Phlox does not mention the whole time that one of his wives made a pass at Trip. Like, he doesn't twist the knife about like, yeah, don't be like you were in that other culturally confusing situation you were in.
Yeah.
Try to learn from your experiences, okay?
The enzyme isn't going to get you pregnant.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
It's not like pre-cum,
Yeah. So we cut over to a small Vissian craft, and this is the place where Archer and Captain Drennick are zooming their way, heading deeper and deeper into the hypergiant. And in a single night, Drennick has disclosed that he has read and understood all of Hamlet which is laying it on a little strong on day one, I think.
They must have given him an annotated version, right?
It's not only Hamlet, Ben. It's all of Shakespeare. It's the whole thing. That book that was in Picard's ready room,
Yeah.
he crushed it.
The whole fucking thing.
He crushed it and he understands it.
Man, can you imagine understanding anything about Shakespeare? I mean, I do. I'm just saying, like, do you? Can you say something about it for the listeners?
Yeah, maybe after the credits.
Okay.
There's a way to say this to Archer that is a flex and kind of a condescending sort of like, I've read the collected works of one of humanity's greatest authors, basically after dinner and before I brushed my teeth. Like, not a big deal. There's a way that could come off where you're like, God, this guy,
Yeah.
get a load of him, but it's not it at all.
Yeah, he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
He wants more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trip is just as impressed with the Vissian warp core
Yeah.
as Archer is with the prodigious mental faculties of Drenick.
It's true.
They're doing really amazing stuff with their warp tech over in the Vissian engineering department. But Trip is kind of distracted.
Yes, he would like to know more about the third meet. He just won't let the subject go.
Yeah.
This fucking guy, the engineer over there, he is put upon so utterly by Trip, so constantly. Like, he's there to do an information exchange about engineering.
Yeah.
And Trip just will not let it go about something that we learn in that very first scene in the mess hall is really personal. Like, it's their family planning business.
Right. Right. It'd be like somebody just coming up to you on the street and going, hey, you circumcised or not?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. We learn in this scene, because of the patience of this engineer, that not every family has a cogenitor. They're there when a family wants to have a child, and it's actually not something that many families get whenever they want one. They're fortunate to be in this position, to have this available to them.
Was it driving you crazy after last week's episode of Star Trek Enterprise that there are 3 genders in this society and 3% of their society is the third gender?
This is driving me crazy. What is happening?
It's like the entire writer's room got bonked on the head and that's as high as they can count all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. The way the engineer describes the relationship with the congenitor, it feels very much like the way like a farmer describes livestock.
Yeah.
Or like a family describes a family pet or something.
And the personal pronoun that he uses for the cogenitor is it, which is squeaking Trip out. It's never like addressed directly until later, but it lives in their quarters and it doesn't know how to read or go to school or do anything during the day.
Yeah.
And that really stands out in this scene.
Yeah, I mean, Trip would be absolutely baffled by pronoun preferences of today if this is such a struggle for him in the future. It's really something. Later in the clarinet rental room, Archer packs for a 3-day field trip with Captain Drenick. Seems like a real escalation in the relationship.
It really does.
They're sleeping together after the first date.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about our relative interest in RVing recently, and this is not that, man. This is like riding together in a Honda Fit across country or something.
If you're watching this show like week to week when it came out, it was just last week that away teams were shitting in bags and talking about packing it in and packing it out.
Also, crucially, last week's was a 3-day trip.
Yeah. T'Palla's in there, I think, to act as a lid on all of these positive expectations, because Archer's doing that thing that people feel in new relationships where he's like, this Captain Drenick's so great. He's read all of Shakespeare. We love doing all the same things. We're going to be best friends. Who knows how long we'll be best friends? We could be best friends forever. And T'Pol...
Is it crazy to start like planning something to do together next summer?
Yeah.
Now?
T'Pol is there to act as kind of the governor, the restrictor plate on the mood in the room. And I don't think she gets through to him.
This could be the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
Speaking of people T'Pol tries to, but is unable to get through to, Trip asks her about this cogenitor thing. You know, like, have you heard this? Like, you hear about these guys? Kind of a vibe.
It's all I can talk about.
He's really sad about it. He doesn't like the idea of this cogenitor just being over there alone.
Yeah, she is choosing to be non-judgmental because trigender reproduction is just something you encounter a bunch when you're out in space as long as the Vulcans have been. Like, you're kind of new to space. I take it, Trip. Why don't you chill out with all the questions? He's bringing a lot of like human-centric baggage to what is effectively a first contact scenario.
Yeah.
And it's not a great way to do diplomacy.
Like announcing that this is a horrifically unethical practice, the way cogenitors are treated is starting to stress T'Pol out. She's like, can you just not bring up the topic around them and chill all the way out, because this is a first impression. You're not making a great one. And we have a lot on the line here. Like, this is super important to the captain. He wants to have like at least 1 or 2 first contacts under his belt that don't end in everybody shooting at each other.
Trip's like, well, this conversation ain't going anywhere. I'm going to go back to sickbay and talk to Dr. Phlox. And so he does, and he's like, hey, Doc, like, certainly, you know, when the Vissians came over, you were able to give him a quick scan where you'd be able to determine, you know, whether or not there was equivalent intelligence among both the Vissians and the congenitors. Like, tell me what's up with that. Like, they're clearly of equal intelligence and ability, right? And Dr. Phlox is like, actually, no, that's not a thing that I do generally as a rule, and it's not something I did in this case. And Dr. Phlox is like, scan around and find out, Trip. And in that way, I think Dr. Phlox kicks off the drama of this episode.
Yeah.
By the end of it, Dr. Phlox escapes guilt-free. Like, none of this splashes on him.
Chaos Phlox.
Yeah.
He's an instigator.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's not all awkward everywhere. Over in the mess hall, there is a great big cheese board with a pineapple in the middle that Reed and Velo, which is one of the ladies from the ice cream sundae scene, they're getting in on this. And he has assembled a collection of the stinkiest, dankest cheeses because he believes that they'll suit her palate. The Vissians really like that which stinks.
Yeah. The smell is all the fun for them. She definitely like is not wowed by the stinkiest cheeses Earth has to offer. You know, nothing compared to some of the stuff that she's had on Vissia Prime, presumably.
It's incredible how quickly they go from, let's check out all these cheeses, to feeding each other the cheeses.
Yeah.
That's a big step, isn't it?
It is a big step. Like, they have their feet on the gas pedals.
No one's ever shoved Stilton in my mouth. That's a big step. My wife hasn't even done that.
Whoa. Well, I mean, but you guys are pretty vanilla, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they, you know, these are both tactical officers, so they want to, you know, kick the tires on each other's weps. And, you know, she wants him to show her his missile and etc. So they're going to go check out the armory. And we cut over to the pod. What's this ship called again? The Stratopod.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn from Drennick that these guys invented warp 1,000 years ago. He's like totally shocked to learn that Archer's dad developed the warp drive on this ship. Crazy.
The vibe of these Vissians is so interesting because the captain's like, yeah, we've had warp drive forever. We just don't like going very far from home. What an interesting concept that is. Like, to value the speed at which you can travel, but not the distance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think is great. They're like, yeah, we keep it local.
We're doing like drag racing, but like, you know, we're not like going around.
Archer's like, you know, you could have made it to Earth by now, but you didn't. How about, you know, this is going so well between us. Like, why don't we start smashing species? Bring a whole truckload of them to Earth.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Got any cogenitors to spare?
Yeah.
In the engine room, the chief engineer guy is offering warp tech to Trip. Like, the way their ship runs is super impressive. And he's like, I could probably teach you how to do a lot of this stuff to your own engine. Like, get another couple of decimal points on the warp factor 5. Why not?
Trip's like, yeah, but, you know, when you and your wife invite the congenitor into your bedroom situation, where does it go?
And like, do you have to do oral to the congenitor, or they just have to do oral to you? Is it like turnabout is fair play kind of a thing?
It drove me so nuts that the engineer at no point is like, can we stick to topic here? Like, I'm here to show you the engine and how it works.
Yeah.
At no point is that conveyed. And actually, you know, the more Trip starts asking about it, he's like, you know, we should actually take this off the work floor and into the apartment that I share with my wife. Why don't you come over for dinner and we can talk about things further? Which doesn't sound as open relationship-y as I described it.
It wasn't him, his wife, and the cogenitor saying, hey, the three of us saw you from across the room and we really dig your vibe.
Yeah, exactly. So we cut right into this dinner scene, right?
Yeah.
And anytime you hold a fork in front of your face before eating, Ben, that's not a great look, right? You just, I would say you cannot break the routine of going in. Like, if you stop that at any point, you're telling your dining companions that something's off. Something's not right.
They went to the trouble of making the blandest food that they could possibly make in the funk department. And
we actually eat this when we're sick.
yeah. He looks like somebody who's watching Joe Rogan try to get a contestant to eat a horse cock on Fear Factor. Like, before, he's like, I don't know if I want to eat while I watch this, kind of a vibe. But he likes the food. And he really wants to meet this cogenitor. He wants to talk to them again.
I mean, this is something that's so familiar to so many of us, like, just out socially. He's that person invited to dinner. He's like, so where's your kitty at? Where's that little puppy I heard about?
Yeah. There's like a cat that like notoriously doesn't like guests coming into the house and is like, I want to crawl under whatever bed it's hiding under and really like fuck its shit up.
So the engineer and his wife say that, look, we don't often dine with the congenitor. The only reason we brought the congenitor to Enterprise was because it was sort of a comfort animal situation. We put a vest on our congenitor that said like therapy congenitor. That's the reason we were allowed to go over there.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a who rescued whom kind of a thing, you know, like.
Very few times has our congenitor ever attacked another passenger on an airplane. But it's important that I'm comfortable.
Yeah. It is really funny to like walk past that weird room in the airport and you see the congenitors in there like trying to poop on a little patch of fake grass.
That room is weird as hell, man. Have you been in there?
I actually have not ever been in it because the 2 times we ever flew with Dar, he had to be in the hold because he's so big, and we didn't feel right getting that vest.
We flew with Ripley when she was a super tiny puppy, and she could fit into basically a cat carrier.
Yeah,
and I mean, you could imagine my feelings about traveling with a puppy on a commercial airplane. This is not a plan that I was into at most levels, but we did get to experience the room on either end of our trip.
Yeah.
We went from LA to Seattle, so super fast.
Yeah.
That there are facilities for dogs like this and they weren't a total gross out, like, I thought was great. Like, I'm glad these things exist. If you got to do it, that's there for you.
Yeah.
That being said, no one should do it. Like, it's just not necessary.
Down in the stratopod, Archer makes a case for getting to try out the controls of this ship. And I do feel like Drennick is starting to get the sense that Archer is like not quite on his level intellectually. He's like, I don't know, man. Like, it might be a little bit of a handful for you.
It's giving real like kid in the cockpit of an aircraft. Like, yeah, you wanna sit in the left seat? Cool. I'll I'll be over here with my hand on top of the autopilot switch.
We can take a picture, but that's about as much as we can do.
Yeah. And I love how the bumps start immediately when Archer's at the yoke, right?
He talks him into it, yeah. And I like that the whole control panel can be like dollied over to the other seat.
Yeah.
This looks like something Tom Paris would like to fly with all the little like levers and knobs.
That's a great observation. Yeah, it feels like Delta Flyer controls and switches were unscrewed from that playset and put into this one in a fun way.
Yeah.
I promise no more affairs with strange ships.
Oh, hey, did we talk about that scene where we're in 6 Bay and
Oh,
Trip,
fuck, we forgot.
Trip is able to give Dr. Phlox the information he was able to get from the scan he did at dinner over on the Vissian ship. And I think I really like the choice of not seeing the scan happen, of not having the congenitor marched out there and Trip having to like fiddle with the scanner and try to like surreptitiously under the table do the scan or something. Like there's something that would make his intent seem ugly there because it's on screen.
Yeah, I mean, I also just think it's fun because you get to imagine various scenarios in which he did it, like sneak off to the room of the congenitor and like do it while she's looking out the window or something.
The big takeaway from this scene, Ben, is that the congenitor isn't simple at all. The congenitor is equivalent in intelligence to the other two genders in this society, and this puts Trip in a bit of a moral pickle.
Yeah, and back in the engine room, he is hanging out with the engineer guy again and makes an excuse like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get lunch early," and leaves this dude while he's doing stuff so that he could go back to that guy's apartment and talk to the congenitor.
There is so much about this scene that is far-fetched. Beginning with the fact that he spends all day there. He's like, hey, congenitor, I'm Trip. You might remember me from before, that scene in the Enterprise mess hall. How would you like to learn how to read? With this book here that I brought from Enterprise.
It's not right for me to read.
Who told you that?
You shouldn't be here.
What's weird is like we angle on the book that he gives her and it's got like an exploding volcano on it. Oh no, Trip. I didn't want to know this about you.
I mean, I struggled with the choice of what to get you started on because like when you read this, like everything else is not going to be as good. But it's also the best book, so why not start with that?
Faith of the fart. And you will never take the greatest gin alive. Ben would rather die.
What?
After reading the book, Trip goes on and on about how much more the congenitor should want out of their life. Because the congenitor's equal to the other two genders. All you have to do is lean in a little bit.
Yeah.
And get your slice of the pie.
You can have it all.
Yeah.
A career and a family.
Like me, Trip Tucker, who's left a trail of bodies behind him in every relationship he's ever had.
My bedpost is more notch than post at this point. In the armory, another successful sexual relationship is flowering. Reed is finding out that his torpedoes are dog shit compared to this other lady's. I mean, we already knew this, but
She gives him a little bit of a, hey, those torpedoes aren't so bad.
yeah.
You know what? That size of torpedo is actually my favorite size of torpedo.
Much more photonic, and it might be uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
Photonic. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. And then they're kind of taking a tour of the armory, right?
Yeah.
Reed opens up the weapons locker with the hand weapons, and she's like, oh, we have very similar hand weapons, don't we?
Yeah. What's in my bedside table is not so different from what is in your bedside table, Mr. Bond.
What you enjoy with hand stuff, we too enjoy with hand stuff. And they find themselves in kind of a cramped area of the room, and Velo finally makes her pass at him. And he is shocked at how quickly she's moving, but he seems down, right?
They have a fuck first philosophy in their society. You do dinner if you like the sex.
Doesn't that kind of make sense? In a, like, I've been married for a long time. I've been in a relationship for a long time. My wife and I often say that like is more important than love in just so many ways. Why not do the sex stuff first, see if you're compatible there, and then like being more significant over the long term, figure out if you like someone then. Like takes time.
Yeah. But also, like, the structure of their reproduction involving a third party makes it a little less risky for the woman.
It's safe sex.
It's safe sex. I mean, that's an interesting thing about their society. Like, I don't have to worry about getting knocked up. Like, yeah, let's fucking do it, you know?
Wait, has a congenitor been sleeping in this bed?
Do I smell enzyme?
Yeah.
Fuck!
Yeah. So back on the Vissian ship with Trip and the congenitor is reading at a Benjamin R. Harrison level at this point. Like,
yeah,
really putting it together. And
Trip kind of wants her to be like the Frederick Douglass of cogenitors. You know?
There has to be a first.
You can take this back to your society and teach them. And it's starting to wear her down, you know? She was a little resistant to this, like, liberation kind of stuff that Trip was talking earlier. Wasn't sure if learning to read was really going to be the kind of thing she was into, but now she's kind of embracing it. She's like, I want to have the same name as you.
It feels like a little bit of an imprint, like a slickback would have in Star Trek The Next Generation. This part made me feel uncomfortable, and I don't know why it didn't make Trip feel uncomfortable in the moment. He's like, oh, that's cool.
I don't know if I want to fuck someone named Charles. She is a slickback, too.
I know. That's what makes the whole scene feel so unusual.
Fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
Like, you can't use these Star Trek The Next Generation semiotics in Enterprise and not have us talk about it.
We'll check that shit on this show. So on the mini Vissian ship, there's kind of an action-packed scene here where one would assume that the captain of this ship would take back control from Archer. Archer, who is just learning how to fly this thing, is heading toward a giant solar flare. And our Vissian captain's like, hey, can you get around it? Archer's like, sure, I'll do my best. He does not get around it. He doesn't get around it at all. And at no point does he take back control like a good co-pilot.
Yeah.
Instead, in a body surfing metaphor, the mini ship goes straight into it. And out the other side.
Turn her into the wave. I mean, Sulu knew.
Yeah, this is so pre-Sulu, though.
Yeah, yeah.
On Enterprise, how much worse has things gotten for Trip and Charles? Well, Trip has brought Charles aboard for a tour, and this is a Charles who is deeply fearful of being punished for going on this field trip.
Yeah, but very curious, like so curious she wants to try the transporter, and Trip is like, haha, it's actually not that good an idea after all.
They go into the armory and Charles is like, why does it smell like this? I mean, I'm a Vissian, so I'm into like very strong smells, but even for me, this is a little much.
There's like a pineapple overtone to it.
It's pineapple and Stilton.
He sneaks her into the warp core. She's never seen a warp core before.
No, and Trip's like, you know what's even cooler than a warp core? A movie about cowboys. I bet you'd like that.
I paused the screen and took a picture of some of the movies on offer.
Oh, what do we have on there?
All right. We got some westerns such as Apache Serenade, Band in Phoenix, Death in Arizona, and Sheriff's Revenge.
There's one of those channels that, you know, because we have antenna TV. We don't have cable TV. Like one of those weird, like 7.9 channels that's
Right.
like all cowboy movies. There's like one of
Right.
these for every type of genre. There are so many Westerns. This channel's on every night, and every night it's a brand new movie that I've never heard of.
It's the longest list on here. There's a Dixon Hill adventure under adventure.
How about that?
We've got the classic musicals Celestial Navigation and Love's Lovely Love.
It just rolls off the tongue.
Science fiction hits such as It Came From Beneath the Refrigerator, Supernova Dawn, and Underworld Aliens, The.
That sounds great. There was an episode of Greatest Generation that we put in like title and then parentheses because we were on about that.
Yeah.
We've never done a the title.
It's a fun construction.
That's coming.
I feel like it's an old-timey construction, right?
Yeah. We're not above that.
Yeah.
We're in it.
Under horror, Strange Case of Mr. Cigars.
Look, when your parents introduce their friend Mr. Cigars and then tell you to go to bed early, keep the bedroom door shut.
Yeah. Maybe you like lean a chair under the handle.
So after looking through this great catalog of film, Trip has decided on the day the Earth stood still. And then afterward, they go and play a game of Go while they discuss the movie. It's just as good as a slice of pie, right?
Sure. Just a staggering length to this hang at this point. Like they have gone through so many stages. They've gone to so many second, third, and fourth locations. Charles is awesome at Go. She absolutely kicks Trip's ass.
I just want to say, I would prefer not to spend this much time with my best friend in the world. I'm gonna need a break between the movie and Go. At least.
Charles is curious about seeing a Western. You know, they talk about like humans being fearful of aliens they don't understand, confused by their strange cultures.
Yeah. Klaatu, Barada, not really understanding the third gender thing still.
Maybe it would have been easier if they'd watched the Keanu Reeves version of The Day the Earth Stood Still, you know?
Oh.
Do you think they consider like George Lucasing this episode and putting that in? It's like, it's in color. Like, they probably like it more, you know?
I mean, video editor extraordinaire Rob Adler could absolutely do that.
He can make that happen.
He can make anything happen.
It's eerie. You know, you call your shot. Rob Adler will be there.
Yeah. We cut right from Charles winning the game of Go, which is an event that has not happened on Enterprise according to Trip Tucker, to the Situation Room where T'Pol is absolutely tearing Trip down for what he has done with Charles.
He is in trouble. He's been banned from the Vissian ship.
I love seeing this gear from T'Pol. As angry as you're liable to see her.
Sure.
Angry and disappointed.
It appears you're doing everything you can to undermine the captain's wishes.
And I guess doing it because Archer is off on his little adventure. So
He did it on her watch, yeah.
It falls to T'Pol, like, she's going to have to report this back to him, makes her look bad, you know?
Yeah.
I had, my favorite RA I had in college was like, I don't give a shit about any of the rules. I just don't want to look bad in front of my boss. So as long as you can keep it cool in a way that doesn't get me in any trouble, like, we have no problem.
I so admire people who just describe and admit the code of our society in a way that's like, yeah, like we're all just agreeing to the rules of this.
Yeah.
Like, we know what the score is.
Yeah. I know you're going to like party in your room or whatever. Just don't fucking do it in a way that's annoying or that gets dangerous or whatever.
T'Pol puts this in terms that like hardcore Star Trek viewers would understand. Like, the damage done to First Contact here, even though this doesn't feel like a First Contact, that's another weird aspect of this episode. Like, there isn't a music swells and the hood is thrown back moment to this.
Mm-hmm.
part of it is because it's just extruded over the length of the episode. But like, Trip, you fucked up first contact here. You're not invited back to the Vissian ship. And there is no amount of booze and quarters to put in the jukebox that is going to fix this mess.
Right. So he is back at engineering doing whatever his job is, that big tube thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Charles comes to visit him here. And Charles is very upset.
The fact that we had the scene we just did and we cut right to Charles and engineering.
Charles brought the amazing experience she had with Trip to the family to whom she is on loan, and they're pretty pissed off about the whole situation. Like, they are mad that Trip punctured this education veil, and she's like, I want to keep learning stuff and climb mountains and stuff, and they don't even want to help. And so this turns into pretty classic TNG era asylum request dilemma.
We don't get an answer to this right now. Instead, we're back on that Vissian miniship and Archer and Captain Drennick blowing a call to Enterprise, and the mood is so different over there. It's like, what a great 3-day trip. These 3-day trips at the end, I always think what I want is a 3-day trip, but really what I want is a 4-day trip based on how I feel right now.
Yeah. But also, is it a leave you one more thing? Is this the perfect amount?
Exactly.
Because they're just in the first 3 days of their relationship. It's not toward the end of the first week of their relationship where if they'd gone on a 3-day trip together, they'd be coming back and Archer would be in a great mood and Drennick would be sitting there with his arms crossed, upset because no ring came out at any point over the course of the 3 days.
The abrupt way in which the mood changes is so striking. This is the parents have gone up to the cabin with the neighbors to do a bunch of lewds, and they've come back down the mountain and they're in cell phone range, and they blew in a call to the babysitter, and the babysitter's like, you will not believe what Benjamin R. Harrison has done.
We have been in the ER for kind of a lot of your trip.
Please don't be upset with me. I did the best I could. In my defense, your child is very difficult.
Yeah. A lot of the hardwood in your house is going to have to be replaced. Let's just start with that.
Yeah, so T'Pol's like, step on it. Get back here. And so they do. And in the clarinet rental room, Archer tells Trip how disappointed he is. He's so disappointed that he would like T'Pol to leave the room for him to continue describing all the ways in which he's disappointed.
He's like, Trip, I'm not just disappointed. I'm also mad.
I did exactly what you do, Captain.
You did exactly what I do?
I've done a pretty lousy job setting an example around here. Should be chiseled into Captain Archer's tombstone.
Yeah. That should be it. Here lies Captain Archer. Set a pretty bad example.
How does Archer not see that this is in fact Trip following in his footsteps on every level?
You could argue that the worst part of many bad parts of this is the idea that Charles didn't ask for any of this to happen. This was Trip freelancing his sense of justice. Mm-hmm. And making this whole thing happen. And for them to go from this scene, the dressing down scene, straight into Trip's quarters where Charles is temporarily living and taking asylum, and for Archer to be like, hey, it's not our place to do what we've done here, and that Trip is here to witness what Archer's doing, makes it even more uncomfortable. Charles, you gotta go back. And the feeling of going from the clarinet rental room into Trip's quarters, then the meeting with Vissian leadership, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
It puts you so off balance because we're speeding toward a scenario where they got to process this asylum request. And why, for some reason, the Vissians permit Archer to consider it? They argue in the room, the engineer's there, his wife is there, the captain Vissian is there, along with Archer.
Yeah.
And they continue to describe what a cogenitor's role is in their culture. And it's a great big misunderstanding. You got to see that.
Just, you don't understand our culture. We don't understand yours.
That the big takeaway here is that it is still up to Archer to decide about whether or not to grant asylum just shows like how magnanimous the Vissians are.
Yeah, like, I mean, but like we've seen Starfleet be like this too. Like with the species, they could squash like a bug with their big fancy starship. They're like, we have to like respect, that you have a way of doing things too.
I know the episode doesn't want you to take this side, but I'm kind of on the parent side here with the like, we're trying really hard to have a baby here. Like, what the fuck? This dipshit with the arm nipples is like getting in the middle of our family planning? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But that's the tension of that I felt the whole episode is like what the episode wanted me to feel and what I in fact was feeling based on the episode's ability to convey its position.
It's a total speed run because like I feel like this little sequence where we don't even we get the McLaughlin group.
Issue 1.
We get the scene in Trip's quarters. We get the dressing down, but it felt like this whole dilemma is something that they would have spent the middle 30 minutes of a TNG episode on.
For sure.
And your head is spinning by the time the ships are parting ways and Archer's like, tally ho, slave holders. Like, it was a pleasure meeting you. Sorry there was any discomfort.
Can we get a Vissian magistrate up in this bitch?
Request denied on the asylum piece. Charles is heading back on the Phillips Head ship, and they like part ways amicably despite the uncomfortable thing that happened with their chief engineer and their cogenitor. But later they are at warp and they get a call from Drennick and he's pissed.
Yeah, I mean, it's Drennick and not the engineer, crucially.
Yeah.
Imagine how pissed that guy is.
Can't even imagine.
RSVP Charles died by suicide. And when Trip presumes that it's his fault when Archer tells him about it, Archer does not disabuse him from that.
No.
And further, Archer hopes that this awful situation teaches Trip a lesson. And Archer does not stop going in on Trip. Over and over, he goes in on him for his behavior in this episode, and there's no makeup work to be done here, and you can't make it right. You're just going to have to wear this. And not only that, I can't even look at you wearing it. I'm turning around and looking out my captain's gazing window, dipshit.
Yeah. Her death is 1,000% your fault. You did a bad thing and you should feel bad. End of episode.
Wow.
Wow.
It is bracing at the end of this thing. How did you feel about this episode, Adam?
I really felt jerked around, like in a way that I kind of like because it was so different as an Enterprise episode goes. Like it felt a little out of control in that way. In a way I could not accurately predict what was going to happen scene to scene, especially because of the choices the episode makes and not showing us some things. Like we don't get tented hands captain contemplating the asylum decision. Mm-hmm. We don't get a tearful goodbye between Trip and the congenitor. Like there's a lot that
we don't even like really understand like how the asylum request was denied and on what grounds Archer decided that.
And what do you have to do? You have to fill all that space yourself. And so I think the episode becomes harder or easier to take based on how you fill in those spaces yourself. I think the episode wants this to be more of a thinker than it is. It wants the thing that sticks with you to be like the great injustice done to the congenitors as a third gender in the species. And what, if anything, we can do in situations like this in the future on the side of justice. But instead, by making the last scene what it is, what I'm left with is, holy shit, Archer is pissed at Trip. Trip really fucked up, and how's he gonna get out of this one? That's not where my mind should be. But that's where it is based on, like, in a way, a musical composition ends on a note, and you're like, oh, that's the note, and that's what I feel. This is the note the episode ends on, and I think it kind of changes how I feel about the rest of the episode before.
Right, because it's also like, are Archer and Trip going to be like icy with each other next episode? Like, how pissed is this? Because it seems really pissed.
Yeah.
This feels like this show's Tuvix episode.
Yeah.
Like a, can you get with Archer on this? Because I fucking can't. Like, I think Trip was absolutely right.
Do you think the episode wants you to get on Archer's side? Like, this is the battle I'm having in my head as I'm watching it, is the tension between what the episode wants and what the episode is and
Right.
how I feel about it.
I mean, like, on the one hand, this is the captain of a Starfleet vessel, and those are supposed to be our heroes.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think that this show has gone out of its way to show Archer being an idiot and, like, learning this as he does it, and...
It's part of the reason I couldn't 100% believe that Archer's behavior at the end wasn't just Archer acting as if he's a hard-ass captain in order to teach Trip a lesson that he doesn't actually believe himself.
That almost makes it worse, though.
I know.
Like,
It feels like a leash jerk from him.
yeah. Man, I fucking hated this episode at the end. I was angry at this episode at the end.
Cut the last 5 minutes of this episode off of it. Like, let them leave in mystery. I think most Star Trek episodes end in that way.
Right.
In the moral ambiguity of doing your best, and we're just out here on the frontier, and maybe the big takeaway is folks are different, and we aren't always going to agree with how societies run themselves, but like...
And it's such an interest, like the setup is so, it is so like available to so many real challenges in life. Like traditionally Star Trek is so good at interrogating that stuff. And for the captain to fall on the wrong side of the morality of the issue is fucking, it makes my head spin.
I don't really think about the captain being on the wrong side of the issue on this one. I just think mostly about the way he operates as a captain of his crew in conveying what the central mission and idea of the ship and of Starfleet is.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of loses the plot of what they're all there for and makes it personal in a way that I guess, you know, it makes him extremely fallible in a way that maybe he's supposed to be. Like, maybe these are feelings we're supposed to feel about Captain Archer right now. But
Maybe so.
This is a great big hole to dig him in. And that's where we're at.
Want to see if there's anything in the hole that is the P1 inbox, Adam?
Oh, yeah. Pretty shallow hole. As it is.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
Need a supplemental income. Supplemental income? Supplemental. Supplemental. Yeah, it's extra.
The interest alone could be enough to buy this ship.
Here's a promotional P1, Adam. Need yet another retro sci-fi comic serial podcast? Yes? Good. In Rocket to the Future, it's 1993, and 2 Earth Space Force rockets head for Pluto. Undersupplied because of budget cuts imposed on Earth's tobacco empire / government. Will they make it? Or will they hide on Mars, sending in false status reports? Each episode is only 5 misspent minutes long, leaving plenty of time to floss. Created by 2 professors beloved by students because they're always a little late for class. So the call to action here is subscribe fairly soon wherever the pods are cast. Rocket to the Future, Part 2.
Ben, you know who this is from?
Who's this from?
Tony, the 70 Man.
It's Tony the 70 Man! Famous consumer of tin fish and oatmeal.
Yeah. He set down the tin fish and oatmeal, cracked his knuckles, and got to work on retro sci-fi comic serial podcasting.
I love it. I want to listen to this. It sounds like part 1 may be already out there.
How about that?
And only 5 minutes an episode? This is delightful.
What a reveal this is. Tony's been a podcaster the whole time?
I'm shocked. I'm shocked by this.
I'm shocked by so much about Tony the 70 Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
About that. Yeah, so check it out. Rocket to the Future, available wherever presumably you get your podcasts. They're probably playing it in the lobby of his old folks' home. Ben, we got a personal priority one message here. It's from James from Vermont. It's to you and me. Here's that message. Found you guys during COVID and started watching each episode. Since then, we've been through all of TNG, DS9, Voyager, and now Archer's Enterprise.
Wow.
I promised myself that when I caught up to you, I'd send a few scarves your way, and here we are. Thanks for the many hours of great pod. Please play my favorite drop of all, the original Harry Kim.
Something about it reminds me of being in the womb. Get up, Harry.
Who are you?
Harry Kim. Parents must be very proud.
Who are you?
They come as a pair.
Who are you?
Harry Kim. Who else is she supposed to get chummy with? Harry Kim. And your mom? Very proud.
Who are you?
Harry Kim. Chummy. And your mom? Very proud. Harry Kim.
Who are you?
Harry Kim.
Oh, man. A beautiful drop that I'm so glad is still with us in the form of the Mayweather drop.
It's true.
But, that OG is a classic. Thanks, James from Vermont. Thanks for catching up with us.
Yeah, good job by you.
Our final P1 today is from Jake in the 301, and it's to anybody! It was like this. When I view Greatest Gen, I often wonder how you choose which drops go where, and how much of the comedy is not Adam and Ben, but Wendy. For the benefit of the FODs, can she take the mic and take a bow or promote one of her other projects?
Well, if you want to know a little bit more about how awesome Wendy is, we just did a bonus episode with her, a Q&A episode, and I had such a great time doing it because Friends of DeSoto asked great questions, but also it was something that we could do with Wendy on mic.
And Wendy definitely answers a version of this question on the show in discussion with us. Definitely Wendy is like the third comedic voice on this show at this point. But I'm also curious to hear if Wendy drops something in here to promote something else. She might have other projects.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Big Dirty Ring, the podcast.
How about new?
Hey, Jake in the 301. Thanks for your question. I don't really have any personal projects to promote, but I was recently a guest on a podcast called Polyamateur Hour, and we actually talked about cogenitor. So if you didn't get enough of this very unfortunate episode of Enterprise, you can check out the polyamorous takedown. It's going to be coming out a little later this week. Just search for Polyamateur Hour wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, if you'd like to leave a P1 message on an upcoming episode of the show, you know where to do it. You go to MaximumFun.org/Jumbotron and set it up today.
Hey, Ben.
What's that, Adam?
Did you find yourself a drunk Shimoda this episode?
Incredible.
Drunk Shimoda!
Who's having the most fun this episode? Kind of feel like it's that lady that's gonna knock boots with Reed.
Vela?
Yeah, is she the drunk Shimoda? I think she is.
Vela! She got me on my knees in the armory. Vela!
All sex is safe sex for these people. So, not what Reed is used to.
Yeah.
I feel like she's the only one he's going to be writing letters to after this.
We don't see a scene with Reed and Vela after the moment in the armory where he bonks his head, right? After the pass is made?
You don't get to see it going in.
Do you assume they knock the boots?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's very heavily implied.
Huh. I mean, with Reed, can we really be sure? He writes all his ex-girlfriends after knocking it out. My darling Heather, we have not spoken for many years, and yet I must tell you about some sexual relations I had recently, and how guilty they make me feel.
So the premise of this is that the two scenarios in which he would write to these women are he knows he's going to die or he just had sex.
He is an awful ex-boyfriend. I think we know this.
Wow.
Ben, I'm going to make mine F.J. Rio as Vissian chief engineer.
Mm-hmm.
There's something very familiar about this performance, and it hit close to home for me as someone who worked many years in a retail environment, who would often just be confronted by a customer over some bullshit.
Uh-huh.
And I got to stand there and listen to this because that's what I'm paid to do. And this face that F.J. Rio has in fielding all of these genitalia questions by Trip Tucker felt like that. Like, I'm at work right now. This customer will not leave me alone. I'd love to be anywhere else, but here at the moment.
Do you ever like invite any of those customers back to your house to like sit in the chair that faces your bed so that they can get a really clear idea about what your intimate life is like?
Very few customers I would ever want to invite home with me. and this one does. Vissian chief engineer, you are my drunk Shimoda.
He was in that like prison transport episode of Voyager.
He was. He was great in that.
He really was. Glad to see him back.
I love an FJ.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that without context. Like
Cruiser, Rio, and other.
Yeah.
Face of the fart.
Well, Adam, let's talk about this next episode. It's season 2, episode 23 of Star Trek Enterprise. It's called Regeneration. The remnants of an alien ship and 2 frozen cybernetic bodies are uncovered in the Arctic by a research team. These aliens soon thaw out and flee Earth, taking the research team with them.
Are these Froyo Robos?
Yeah, I think so.
I like it.
Yeah, kind of an alien versus predator theme, like bad aliens that have been under the Arctic ice this whole time.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun. Sounds like we can't get into trouble doing that.
No.
Let's see what kind of trouble we get into next week, according to the Game of Buttholes. The Will of the Riker Quantum Leap, Ben.
Let's do it, Adam. I'm heading there now. Of course, this determines the manner in which we will be watching next week's episode. Our runabout is currently on square 49. And I'm going to go ahead and roll this bone.
You're required to learn as you play. Roll.
Woo! Adam, got lucky. We were almost in a situation where we'd have to be feeding Stilton to each other because our runabout has landed on square 63, right next to that Porthos cheese plate square.
Amazing.
Chula!
Did I win?
Hardly.
Could have been fun.
Yeah, it could have been, but it's not what's happening next week. Next week is a regular old episode.
That would have been an episode where we find out how many string cheeses Adam can eat in one sitting. String cheese power hour. That's what that one is.
Oh, man. Oh, the poops you would take.
Be great. Solid as Sears.
Wow. Well, looking forward to just a regular episode next week.
Yeah.
Got some thank yous to give out here at the end of the show. Thank you to all the friends of DeSoto who support the show every month by going to MaximumFun.org/join. Thanks to Wendy Pretty, our producer, and Rob Adler, our social media director, and Bill Tilley, our temporal Cold War time consigliere. Go check out the @Greatest Trek social media accounts. Sign up for the mailing list at gach.biz/mail.
Yeah. Hey, you hear this music? This music right here?
Yeah.
Dark Materia made this music, and then let us use it so many years ago. One of the greats.
Sure did.
Another great is the composer of our theme and interstitial music. That's Adam Ragusia, who's also the third co-host of a show we do together called Wholesome.
Highly recommend that you give Wholesome a try. It's patreon.com/wholesome_pod. It's a really good show. I'm proud of it. With that, we will be back at you next week. Another great episode of Star Trek Enterprise and an episode of The Greatest Generation Enterprise that I feel like really bridges the gap between classic 80s era Trek and modern Paramount Plus Trek. Like this is, I feel like, right in the middle point between those two things.
There's a science fiction / scientific name for that when you're in the middle of the Lagrange.
Oh, it's the Lagrange point. Good pull.
Oh, you could smell the sizzle of my brain synapses trying to put that one together.
Yeah, I thought I heard something pop.
Yeah, I got there though.
You got it.
And Wendy didn't even have to edit that. Like
amazing.
That was real time.
Amazing. All right, but take it easy next week. All right, I don't need you like collapsing on my.
All right.
Make it so.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows
supported directly
by you.